In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. The first NBA radio for all the fans around the world. Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. We talk about NBA. We talk about passion. We are your radio.
Sleeps 4 hours a night, and there's a pretty convincing argument, you can decide for yourself, that Kobe's 81-point game is actually better than Wilt's 100-point game. So enough about me, let's jump into the video. Number 7. A high school prodigy. By the time Kobe was a senior, he already knew what the next step in his career would be. His next step would be to go to the prom with Brandy, and then go to the NBA. In preparation for the NBA, Kobe began to take his practice routine to the next level, ending each practice with a game of one-on-one to 100 against junior Rob Schwartz. These weren't fun after-practice workouts, they were another way for Kobe to prove his dominance. He would annihilate Schwartz, running the score up as much as he possibly could. Schwartz claims that the best he ever did was lose 100-12, while stating, "Getting dunked on was like a regular thing for me." When Kobe heard this, he made sure to set the record straight, saying that Schwartz never broke into double digits, that the most he ever scored was 5, because even 15 years later, Kobe could not let anyone think that a random guy named Rob Schwartz had scored double digits on him in a game to 100. Number 6. Practice legend. In order to reach the NBA, a player needs a certain level of natural-born talent. There are some things you just can't teach, but once a player reaches the NBA, a great work ethic can be the difference between a role player and an all-star. And that's why Kobe Bryant has arguably the greatest work ethic of all time. The amount of stories to back up Kobe's incredible work ethic are practically infinite. From the 2008 Olympics alone, every single member of the team along with its staff has stated that experiencing Kobe's practice routine firsthand was a real wake-up call for them. Every player on that roster thought that they were working their hardest. Then they found out that Kobe began his morning workouts at 4 in the morning, completing physically draining workout after workout until it was time for practice. And after practice, he stayed after to get more shots up. The man was that dedicated to his craft. And this work ethic was aided by a trait of Kobe's which actually proves he might not be human. Because despite this tremendous load that this heavy training routine places on his body,
you know what? I don't need too many hours of sleep, man. I can go off 3-4 hours.
Kobe only sleeps 3 to 4 hours a night. While most humans require 8 hours of sleep to function in their normal lives, Kobe has managed to create a Hall of Fame career on only 4 hours of sleep. With that said, I'll leave you with the single best story that defines Kobe's unmatched work ethic. On the night before Team USA's first practice, Kobe and his trainer Tim Grover completed a 40-mile bike ride that ended at 2:30 in the morning. Just 5 hours later, Kobe was the first one in the gym, beginning a workout at 7:30 before a full day of practice. Number 5. Trash talked opponents. In the art of trash talk, every painter uses a different paint. Kobe Bryant's paint was to act as if his opponent was beneath him, that the man guarding him was lucky to play on the same court as Kobe. This trait was demonstrated early in his career, against Hall of Famer Allen Iverson. In the NBA Finals, Kobe and Iverson got into it, which led to this.
A lot of talking going on there right now. I think you're going to see the referee step in and separate the two players.
And while in this situation Kobe lost his cool, he eventually learned to keep himself composed at all times. This trait would cause opponents to fear Kobe, as it seemed nothing could throw him off of his game. And as he got older, his trash talk became more refined. Against the Thunder in 2012, Harden and Durant tried to get into it with Kobe. Kobe was quick to take up the challenge, eventually saying, "Maybe one day they'll be able to sit at my lunch table." And sometimes Kobe didn't even need to say anything to get his point across. Case in point, during Steph Curry's rookie year, the Lakers led late when Kobe headed to the foul line. Steph tried to get Kobe out of his rhythm, asking if he was nervous. And according to Curry, Kobe glared at him, a look Steph described as mean and cold. Just like, "What are you talking about? Get out of my face, you dumb rookie." Of course, the Lakers won the game. Number 4. Trash talk fans. Sometimes in sports, fans get caught up in the moment and forget the players are actually human beings. Occasionally, this can end very poorly. But when Kobe comes across trash talk from fans, he doesn't overreact. He just calmly ethers them Like the time he responded to a Mavericks fan with a quick counting lesson.
The final 12 for Shot the Man at the Staples Center. Don't miss this episode of Timeless Hip.
Now, trash-talking fans is great, but trash-talking celebrities is even better. In a game of one-on-one against Bow Wow, Kobe greeted the rapper by saying,
"Shit, a lot different swimming with Great White than it is seeing them motherfuckers on the Discovery Channel."
He then gave Bow Wow 10 points and it came to 11, still winning and asking the question,
"Hey, I thought Muggsy Bogues retired and shit."
Though the best trash talk comes when a player says something and then backs it up, which is something Kobe was quick to do with Jamie Foxx. After Fox left a radio show in 2009 in which he badmouthed the Lakers, Kobe...
He asked me who was my team. I told him the Mavericks and he clowned me. He says, "Oh, Jay, I thought you was the winner."
Hours later, still thinking about their encounter, Kobe shot Fox a text.
And he texted me and said, "One day you'll choke on my 5th ring."
Which, of course he did, as Kobe won the championship just the next year. And when trash-talking celebrities gets too old, you then move on to the president? Yes, Kobe even trash-talked Obama. As in a visit to the White House, Obama joked that Derrick Rose may have your number to Kobe. Kobe responded with, "If he calls that number, I'll be sure to pick up after the 5th ring." Number 3. King of one-on-one. According to Kobe, he's beaten a lot of guys in one-on-one. This list includes Reggie Miller, Grant Hill, Caron Butler. But the real question is, who has beaten Kobe in one-on-one? And according to him, the answer is...
Who beat you in one-on-one if it ever happened?
Which makes sense, because Kobe's playstyle was that of a one-on-one player. He had countless moves in his arsenal, and at 6'6" he could guard virtually any player. But the one trait that really set Kobe apart in one-on-one was his need to destroy other players to prove he was the alpha male, like the time he got into it with J.R. Ryder. Ryder had averaged 19 points per game in the previous season, and was a solid role player for the Lakers. But when he tried to trash talk Kobe, Bryant had no mercy. Phil Jackson actually ended practice right there, so Kobe could take on Ryder in front of the whole team. And according to Ron Harper, Kobe destroyed him. Guys were waving white towels, yelling, "Stop the beatdown, please! Please, stop!" And while Ryder was good, he wasn't an NBA star, so this beatdown was expected. However, Tracy McGrady was an NBA star, as well as 2 inches taller than Kobe. But when they played in one-on-one, the result was the same. As Kobe said, "I cooked him, roasted him." Wasn't even close. The 2 stars played 3 games of one-on-one when Kobe was 20, with Bryant winning all 3. In one of the games, Kobe embarrassed McGrady with an 11-2 win. And after the 3rd matchup, McGrady left the court claiming he had back spasms. Number 2. Embrace the Jordan comparison. At the time of his retirement, Michael Jordan was considered the greatest player of all time. And like with all great players, the media was quick to find an heir to Michael Jordan's throne. Every time a young perimeter player showed flashes of greatness, he was instantly compared to Jordan. Grant Hill, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. These are just some of the names of players who were compared to Jordan. And while these men had great careers, they could never quite match Jordan's achievements. But Kobe did. Almost. Sure, the consensus is that Jordan's career was better than Kobe's. That Jordan as a player was better than Kobe. But that doesn't matter. What does matter is that we can speak about both in the same sentence and have a legitimate argument, because Kobe is the closest thing to Michael Jordan we have ever seen so far, which in itself is a huge accomplishment. From day one of his career, Kobe heard it time and time again. He wasn't as good as Jordan. He would never approach Jordan's greatness. Some players may have shied away from these comparisons, but Kobe greeted them with open arms. Early on, he told Gary Payton, "I'm going to be the #1 scorer for the Lakers. I'm going to win 5 or 6 championships, and I'm going to be the best player in the game." And then he went out and backed up those claims. He used Jordan as a model for greatness in the darkest part of his career. When Shaq was gone and Father Time began to knock on his door, he learned to embrace his teammates more, added more shots to his arsenal to deal with his declining athleticism. Soon we found ourselves with a Kobe who had mastered Jordan's iconic fadeaway. A Kobe who had replicated Dirk's fall-away jumper. And again, his hard work was rewarded. Kobe finished his career with 5 NBA titles, 11 first-team All-NBAs, and an MVP. He wasn't Jordan because nobody will ever be Jordan. But at the end of the day, the comparison doesn't even matter anymore, because he was his own man. He was Kobe Bryant, a basketball legend who embraced his comparison to the greatest of all time and built his own legacy. And number 1, 81 points. As you've probably noticed by now, this video has only briefly mentioned Kobe's actual play style, noticeable games, and achievements. And that's because everyone knows these things already about Kobe, and I want to tell you guys things you don't already know. But with that said, you can't make a video on Kobe without mentioning his 81-point game. Because on January 22nd, 2006, Kobe Bryant scored the most points by a perimeter player in the history of the National Basketball Association, finishing second behind Wilt all time. But here's the thing, Kobe's 81 points may have been an even greater achievement than Wilt's 100 points. It sounds crazy, but bear with me. Now let's look at the actual games both players had. We have to remember, the pace of games was drastically different in Wilt's era than it was in Kobe's. When Wilt played, teams averaged a lot more possessions, which of course meant more shots. If you want to learn more about this, I made a video on it. In Wilt's 100-point game, he attempted a staggering 63 shots and took 32 free throws. To put that amount of shots into perspective, the highest amount of field goal attempts in a game since 1984 was 50, which was 13 less shots than Wilt. In Kobe's 81-point game, he took only 46 shots from the field and attempted 20 free throws, which means he took 17 less shots than Wilt and 12 less free throws. Now, if we adjusted Kobe's attempts in his 81-point game to the fast-paced era in which Wilt played, Kobe would finish with 65 shots from the field, 28 free throws, and 114 points. And yes, Kobe had the three-point line, which shouldn't matter because Wilt was a center anyway, but even if you adjust his three-point attempts and take them away, Kobe still finishes with 104 points. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's way too easy to play the adjustment game. Which is true, and this adjustment isn't foolproof. But again, Wilt played in a league where teams took way more shots. I can't stress this enough. On the night of his 100-point game, the Sixers took 118 shots from the field. In comparison, the Lakers only took 88. And on top of all of this, Kobe scored his points in a game that was actually competitive for 4 quarters. His team was actually down by 14 at halftime. Wilt, on the other hand, scored his 100 points in an absolute blowout. A game in which his team finished with 169 points, and actually intentionally fouled the other team throughout the 4th quarter to give more possessions for Wilt, making sure that he would finish with 100 points. So with all this said, both scoring outputs were obviously legendary. But the argument can certainly be made that Kobe's was more impressive. And so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. The first NBA radio for all the fans around the world. Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. We talk about NBA. We talk about passion. We are your radio.
When talking about Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, you can make at least 50 videos talking about an insane Kobe Bryant moment. He was in the league for 20 years and had countless incredible stories each and every year. Now, if you guys want to watch a video talking about 7 of his best stories, I'd advise you to go over to Michael Zemmer's channel after this video and watch his. This story I'm about to tell you is one that Mike didn't put in his video, and to be honest with you, in my opinion, it's his craziest story. If not, it's definitely top 5. Now, this story not only shows how dedicated to the game Kobe truly was, but it shows how much Kobe Bryant practiced each day to even realize what was happening at the time. That probably doesn't make any sense, so let me explain. Here is the most insane Kobe Bryant story ever. I will also say this is from Gerald Henderson's article in the Players Tribune, which I'll leave a link to in the description box down below. The story starts in Charlotte 2009. At this point, Kobe Bryant was at the peak of his powers and hitting clutch shot after clutch shot. It was the year he won his 4th NBA championship and was playing really well. It was during the regular season, and Kobe was having his normal pre-game shoot-around. I mean, if you've ever seen Kobe before a game shooting, he rarely misses. To be fair, there's no defender at all, which most NBA players are able to knock down these shots, but on this day, Kobe couldn't hit one shot. I mean, maybe he was just not feeling it this day. It happens. Players can sometimes just feel a little tired on back-to-backs, injuries can take over, but usually it's fatigue after a back-to-back game and things of that nature. Except, this is Kobe Bryant we're talking about here. This isn't just a regular player. Kobe was missing wide open shots after wide open shots with no defenders around him. So obviously something seemed a little bit odd. Kobe Bryant missing wide open shots, no defenders around him, That seems really fishy. So Kobe Bryant proceeds to walk to the middle of the court, looks directly at the rim, turns around and says, "There's something wrong with the rim." Not his shot, the rim. He said that to Gerald Henderson, the first thing that Kobe Bryant ever said to him. In fact, this was the first time they'd ever actually met. Well, kind of. At the time, like I said, Henderson was playing in Charlotte, but it was actually his rookie year in 2009, and the Lakers were visiting. Now, Henderson had looked up to Kobe his entire childhood, just as Kobe Bryant had looked up to Jordan, and how most players entering the NBA look up to LeBron James nowadays. I mean, playing your idol or a player that you looked up to is a pretty big deal, and Gerald Henderson was a kid from Philly, who grew up close to Lower Merion. Obviously, having that connection with Lower Merion and Kobe Bryant was quite strong, as Kobe was not only a national legend, he was a hometown legend. He played high school there, and that was a pretty big deal for Henderson growing up. He said that when he was 9 years old, his dad brought him to a high school game where Kobe Bryant dropped 50 points and sat for the fourth quarter. He also said he had visions of Kobe Bryant pulling up from one step inside the half court and draining it, and then walking back on defense with a strut, as if he knew just how good he was. He did. Lower Merion was a small gym, standing room only. Everyone was there to see him. So as you can imagine, Henderson was pretty pumped to be playing Kobe Bryant, the great, the legend, Kobe Black Mamba Bryant. And by 2009, Kobe and him were both NBA players. Anyway, back to the story. Henderson was already shooting around, and there's still about 45 minutes until the tip-off. And in Henderson's own words, he says, "Kobe's on the other end, still shooting, and I'm glancing over at him. Remember, I'm a rookie. I want to see how this guy approaches warm-ups. He's one of the greatest of all time. Maybe I can learn something from him, steal a move or two." I looked up, and he had stopped shooting. Kobe was up to something, but it was weird. He was missing more shots than he was making. Honestly, he was missing a lot. All of a sudden, I look up to Kobe, and he stopped shooting. He was holding the ball on his hip with one hand, and motioning to the sideline with the other. Then all sorts of commotion started. A crew of maintenance guys showed up out of nowhere. It looked like a hockey line maintenance guys rushing on and off the court. Kobe was saying something to them, and gesturing, but from where I was standing, I couldn't make out what they were saying. Suddenly, there was a ladder being set up under the basket. Kobe's pointing up at the rim, and the maintenance guys are positioning the ladder. A measuring tape is involved. I said, "What's going on?" Kobe was up to something. I'm standing at half court watching the scene play out, and Kobe starts walking over to me. "Something's wrong with the rim." "Oh yeah?" "We're watching a guy climb up the ladder and tinker with the rim. It's too low. The rim's a quarter of an inch too low." Hold up, I need to interrupt here because do you know how little size that is? A quarter of an inch. Like what? That's crazy. Anyway, Henderson says, "Huh? What do you mean?" I'd never really heard about maintenance issues with a rim before a game. Kobe goes, "I was missing shots that I don't miss. I'm pretty sure it's low. A quarter of an inch." The fact that he didn't even measure, he just knew from the amount that he practiced. Most NBA players, I guarantee you, wouldn't even notice. They just shoot a little higher or lower, but not Kobe Bryant. He shot it exactly the same way each and every time. Anyway, Henderson goes on to say, that was it, our first conversation. He went back to his shooting routine. Two things pop into my head. Number one, man, I can't believe I just had a conversation with Kobe. And Kobe, maybe it's not the rim. Maybe you're just missing shots. Kobe finished the game with 30 points. After the game, I was walking off and I saw one of the maintenance guys, one of the guys who was carrying the ladder onto the court during warm-ups. I had to ask, "Hey man, what was up with the rim before?" "Oh, someone notified that it was a little lower than regulation," he added. "Don't worry, we adjusted it to 10 feet. Then he told me how much it was off by. I could tell you his answer, but I think you already know what he said." Now, I don't know about you, but that story has got to be one of the most insane...
Face all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. The first NBA radio for all the fans around the world. Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. We talk about NBA. We talk about passion. We are your radio.
Cut my wrist. I have this tattoo on my wrist that says believe, because my mother's always talked about either if you don't believe in yourself, then who's going to believe in you? And I think that was one of the benefits of being an athlete that was always overlooked, in my opinion, it forced me to work harder. You know, look, I always try to outwork people, right? That's just how I made my mark. So the game was at 7. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come to the Staples Center because we're playing. This is when the Lakers had Kobe and Shaq. Okay, this is like the championship Lakers. So you know, I'm gonna get there at 3 o'clock, and I want to make sure I make 400 made shots before I go back into the room, and then I sit in the sauna and I get ready for the game. Who do I see? I see Kobe Bryant, already working out. So once I set my foot across that line, I started working out. And so I worked out for a good hour and a half. And when I came off, after I was done, I sat down, and of course I still heard the ball bouncing. I look down, I'm like, this guy's still working out? So he was working out. Like, it looks like he was in a dead sweat when I got here. And he's still going. And it's not like his moves are nonchalant, lazy. He's doing like game moves, you know? I sit there and I unlace my shoes. I'm like, I want to see how long this goes. So I sit out there and watch another 25 minutes. And he got done. I said, okay, I think I've seen enough. Go play, you know, come back, get in the sauna, get ready for the game. That game, he drops 40 on us, okay? And after the game is over, I'm like, I have to ask this guy. Like, I have to understand, like, why he works like that. Right. So after the game is over, I'm like, hey, Kobe, like, why were you in the gym for so long? He's like, because I saw you come in. and I wanted you to know that it doesn't matter how hard you work, that I'm willing to work harder than you.
Wow.
You inspire me to be better. Right. And it was the first time I started to see this level of competitiveness where I said, I need to start doing more. Right. Wow. But you never get better if you're not willing to put in the time. And basketball is very similar to the game of life. There's going to be ups and downs. It's not always going to be easy. There are going to be challenges. There's still going to be curveballs thrown at me. But if you put in the work and you constantly put in the work, that's the only way you're going to grow.
All over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. The first NBA radio for all the fans around the world. Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. We talk about NBA. We talk about passion. We are your radio.
We hope to be a playoff team. We had some injuries. And it was right after we had just traded Vince Carter. I actually came there to run with Vince. Hey, yeah, I'm going to Toronto to run with Vince. Absolutely, that'll be great. And before I knew it, they were complaining about where his mom parked and complaining about him. I'm like, this guy's a superstar player. Like, leave him alone. That's what these other 13 guys. We were playing a 1-2-2 zone in the NBA versus Kobe Bryant. Yeah. And we were winning earlier in the game. So it gave us, I guess, some false sense of security. Duh, who's Kobe going to pass it to? All right, Smush Parker, he's open for a jumper. Okay. So before you know it, Kobe's putting up pretty good numbers, but he's not really going off. I think he probably had 20-something in the first half. And then I want to say he erupted for like 40 or something in the third quarter. How does that happen? He was dominant over us. You know when you growing up and then the rim in the backyard is 8 foot tall, and there's one guy that can really probably dunk on the 10-foot hoop, but he's playing on the 8-foot hoop. That's how he was dominant, putting a smack down on us. He really did.
Is he talking to you?
He didn't say a word. And we thought about doing some things to him during the game. I remember one time we came to the sideline, and Mike James, myself, and a couple of guys huddled up, and we were talking to Sam Mitchell about, hey, Coach, think we might want to double team that guy? Maybe make someone else beat us? That may help.
And it never happened.
He was playing one-on-one between the legs, behind the back for 3 to the basket. I just remember realizing at one point in the game, this may be something historic happening right now.
Were you checking him?
Oh, I did guard him. I got a healthy 19. But I was so frustrated, I'm like, Coach, we got to make this guy at least work on D. Right now he's guarding me. I'm about to take him to the post. Sam Mitchell got so mad at me for doing that. He didn't want me to do it again. B took me out.
Why didn't you guys double team him?
That's a great question. And coaches go through this sometime. Since you didn't listen to me 100%, I'm going to watch you suffer. And coaches do that to their basketball teams when they feel like they want to send a message to the team.
So you think Sam Mitchell was trying to send a message to the team?
Absolutely. But Kobe sent a stronger one than all of us.
When you huddle up with Mike and Mo, what did you guys say to each other?
We suck. We're idiots. Why do we let that happen? Why did we clothesline that guy? But you know what? All of that is a tribute to the respect that we have for Kobe. Because if he would have been taunting in any way, shape, or form, it would have all went different. When you're going against a guy like that, there are going to be historic nights. And it's not like Luke Walton scored 20 on me. Like, if that would have happened, I would have buried my head in the sand.
Face all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. The first NBA radio for all the fans around the world. Radio Hall of Fame Basketball. We talk about NBA. We talk about passion. We are your radio.